To order. If we can all stand. First, we'd like to, are there any special intentions?
Microphone.
I'll take your microphone.
The former Councilwoman Wilma Irvin, you all may know her. Her sister Rosabelle passed on Wednesday, so we're asking prayer for her family. Also, my assistant Vivian Hurtado, her mother has taken a turn for the word, so we're asking prayer for her. Miss Ida Clouden, the lady that was found in a canal, I will be doing her eulogy this Saturday, and also one of our other members of the community, Robert Jones, also passed on Wednesday, so we're asking prayer for that family also. Anybody else?
And I'd like to ask Councilwoman Dunn to lead the prayer.
Our God and our Father, as we come together once again this hour in the morning, Father, we pray, dear God, that you would look down upon this meeting, upon the council. We pray for the mayor, for the police chief, and for the residents of Kenner, asking you to be with us and to lead us, dear God. But most of all, we pray for unity, my Father, that we may go about the business of Kenner and that Kenner would be a better place to live. Lord, we lift up Wilma Irvin and that family, asking you to be with them, be with the family of Vivian Hurtado, with her mother being ill, also the passing of Ida Clouden and Robert Jones. We lift their families up to you, and we thank you for it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Yes, Councilman Wilmot, for special attention.
And I ask that you keep in your thoughts and prayers Herbie Bouvier. Their son, Joey Bouvier, was also killed in action many years ago. And please keep the family and Teresa, the wife, in your prayers and thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wilmot. Councilmember, anyone else with special intentions? Councilmember Lahat, would you please lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Chairman, you have a quorum. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B 14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. We have correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads.
Mayor Glazer.
Thank you. I'll be brief, but there's a couple things I want to bring up, and also at the end I'll bring up Patrick Hamby from Entergy to make some brief comments on behalf of, I think, one of the council members requested it. As you all know, we've been in this building now for many, many months, quickly approaching a year. My statements were I'd like to get out of this building as soon as possible, but that as soon as possible doesn't have a time frame on it. Councilman Brownigan and I have another meeting with the owner of the mall, tentatively scheduled sometime next week, still not firm yet, to discuss the future of this property. But one of the first things I asked is, how much do we really spend a month on this? You heard the $60,000 thrown around, but we know there's more costs associated with operating this property. So it's in the tune of about $160,000 a month we pay to work out of this building. So, and the most ridiculous price that jumps off the page is the $78,750 we pay in monthly for that bathroom trailer outside, which is ridiculous at best. So Elizabeth made other arrangements for a much cheaper price, so we're going to be moving on with that trailer. The council meetings are advertised next month in this building, and we have a plan to move out in September. at least the council meetings. I think all the council members are pretty much on board with going back to the Heritage Hall building, which we can set it up. It's, minimal cost for us, and it could stay a council. You don't have to break it down or pick it back up every day for other events. Some of the staff with me went around and toured some of the buildings, the AP Clay Center, the MLK Center, the Hispanic Resource Center. The AP Clay Center is in very bad shape. There's an assessment going on now to see if it's salvageable. But the Martin Luther King Center and the Hispanic Resource Center should have been in commerce 2 weeks after this last storm. So they're back in. The Hispanic Resource Center is open today, and the MLK Center will be open shortly. It just has minor sheetrock damage that was ripped out after the storm. Not to just sit here and ramble along, we've called all the CEAs we have in recreation with various groups, all the outstanding agreements with other programs, all the contracts, and reviewing all the vendors. We've terminated several contracts already that were not used or actually just signed at the end of June that we never did move on it, so we terminated them. I do plan to dive into the budget again in the upcoming week, and it'll be back here in front of the council hopefully sometime in September. The DMV is really interested in moving back into Rivertown and opening that office up again. So it just has to be cleaned up, and we'll move to get that open and running in no time. And I did get several phone calls on the status of the Kenner Humane office, which we currently do not have one. That's been pretty much relied on for Jefferson Parish. So we're looking into bringing the Humane Department back into our code enforcement department. So I'll have more detailed report on exactly what offices are open at the next meeting, because we the first 3 weeks we've been trying to just identify some of the things that nobody could really answer when we walked in the door. So we have, with this city attorney's staff, a lot of them have institutional knowledge in the city of Kenner, so they've been a big help. Elizabeth knows the ins and outs with the finance department, so she's been a very good resource. But for me to get up to speed, it's been a whirlwind. So some things I'm happy with, some things are just, it doesn't make sense. The $78,000 toilet trailer is by far the most egregious thing I've come across so far. So we're moving to correct that. I don't have a lot more comments. There's a couple of things on the agenda today that I'll comment on. That's going to need some, I guess, revisiting once if this council passes and gets some of these programs moving. But with that said, Mr. Patrick Hamby from Entergy, like to. I can't see him if he's in here. Yeah. All right. Don't blame me. I didn't call you.
I don't think this is on.
Is there? There we go.
No, here.
Good morning, everyone. It's got 47 minutes of morning left. Just click. Okay, awesome. Well, thank you again, Patrick Hamby, on behalf of Entergy, Louisiana. Councilman Brennan and I were talking, I guess it's been a month ago or so, about hurricane prep and everything else, preparation that we do to prepare for hurricanes. And we thought it would be a good idea, once the new administration was in place, the new council members were here, to come and allow me to do a presentation on that. Since the last conversation that we had, a month or so ago regarding hurricane prep, we've also been bombarded with some high prices. So we've had some natural gas increases and other bill drivers, mainly natural gas, that are affecting customers' bills. So I incorporated that into the presentation, kind of to inform and educate the customers and you and your staffs on what's happening out there in the market and how it's affecting your constituents' bills, so that you have some answers if you get calls to your office. And also, in relation to the high bills and the drivers behind that, I'm going to cover some energy efficiency options and some other, ways that customers can get help with their bill. So very quickly, storms are hitting our area, as we all know, more frequent, more powerful, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem to be ending. So the trend is there. It started in 2020. We had a multitude of storms. I'll cover them later. But how do we prepare for all these storms? It's the new reality that we're living in. So what we do, we invest 24/7 in hardening our system, replacing older poles with newer, stronger, taller, more substantial poles. And that goes not just with the wooden poles, but with our steel transformer structures as well. You've noticed some of that over in the Avondale on the West Bank area, crossing to Harahan. We've put 2 new towers up that are able to withstand 175-mile-an-hour winds. And they are some of the strongest poles literally in the country, if not the world. So we're going that way. That's what we're doing as a company to prepare for this somewhat unfortunate future during hurricane season with these more powerful, frequent storms. And all of that together, it's called hardening, plus that investment is going to get us towards a new resiliency plan that we have for this new kind of world we're living in. I mentioned the storms that we've been dealing with, the more frequency of them. In 2020, I was speaking with a gentleman over here. We were in the cone of error 8 different times for a potential landfall. Luckily, we only had one, which was Zeta, which was not as powerful as Ida, but still, the old saying is true, it only takes one. So when you get landfall from one storm, you got to be prepared. Whether you get 1, 2, 3, or 4, you have to be prepared. And then you go into the next year in 2021, ironically, in the deep south with the heat that we're experiencing today, we had an ice freeze around here. So that went all the way from Texas over to our area, affected our equipment, had some outages. We have to prepare for that now too. So we have the extreme of the summer heat and the hurricane storms, coupled with now the extreme freezing storms that we have to deal with as well. So Operation Storm Ready is what we call our general system preparedness model. We have a website. Anybody can go out and look at it. It's Google Entergy Operation Storm Ready, and it'll show you everything we do. And in general, we do inspections proactively on our poles, whether they're transmission, which are the larger poles and steel structures you see that carry the high voltage lines, all the way down to the wooden poles that we have going into the neighborhoods for our distribution system. We maintain those poles to the best that we can to make sure that they're able to withstand not only the summer showers, but those hurricanes and those freezes and everything else that I just talked about. Vegetation management is another huge thing in South Louisiana with all this rain and the bayous, and the vegetation is lush, it grows fast, so we inspect that and proactively trim the vegetations to keep it within our right-of-way. Typically, we have a 10-foot right-of-way to clear of the power lines of the vegetation so that they do not fall down or branches do not break off and cause outages for our customers. Just as we prepare, Entergy that is, we encourage customers to have a plan in place, because storms, not only are they getting more frequent and more powerful, they're popping up quicker. For instance, with Hurricane Ida, on day 1, it was just a disturbance that people were monitoring. The National Weather Service, I think, maybe had a 20-30% chance of formation over the next 5 days. Day 2, it maybe have gone up to 50%. By the time it had developed, I think on day 5, it was a 150-mile-an-hour storm barreling down, towards our landfall here, which is only 6 miles an hour short of a Category 5 hurricane. So in essence, by the time we were looking at it, as far as our customers from the National Weather Service, they had 5 days to plan. No mandatory evacuations were able to be put in place. The contraflow, all that could not be done. So customers need to have a plan in place. And if they go to our Operation Storm Ready website, they can find all kind of helpful tips on what to put in a storm kit, from food, water, medicine, insurance, all of that good stuff to keep their families safe. And when you're making those plans, your constituents and you and your families as well, consider that history shows, and history has been changing, we're having more frequent, more powerful storms, but with the Category 1 hurricane, we expect to have 90% of customers restored within 7 days. However, so that you could have a 7-day outage, and 10% of the customers could have a little bit longer depending on the damages. And in some cases, if there's damages to a home or business, they may not be able to come back and will have to rebuild. But 7 days for a Category 1 is what you should plan for. Category 2 is 10 days. Category 3 would be 14 days. Category 4 is 21 days, and Category 5 would be over 21 days. And again, those are all the time frames that we are telling customers to use as a potential for an expected outage time frame if you do stay behind and a hurricane does hit and makes a direct landfall here. Unfortunately, we can't predict who's going to be impacted where. It's Mother Nature, and that's why you have to make these plans. Well, uh-oh. Can I get IT help here? But I'm about to transition into the next subject is going to be utility high bill drivers. Actually, okay, that's great. This is one more slide on the hurricane preparedness. You know, while you make your plan, that is for your family to make sure that you're safe and able to leave and keep everyone the way they need to be. You can also keep in touch with us through our social media apps. We have every single one covered. We have our Storm Center website. And we also have the direct view outage website that you can go and check for your address to see if it's got power or if it doesn't, as well as a text alerts. Now we'll move into the high bill drivers, which is the most recent issue that we've been dealing with as an industry. I think I'm pushing the wrong button on that. Let's see. So prices have been on the rise for all types of products, commodities for the last couple of years. If you look at the price of milk, it's gone up 23%. Our costs, Entergy Louisiana's, have gone up about 27%. That's total bill. Coffee, 35%. Gasoline, which we all feel at the pump every day, 51%. And eggs and groceries in general, but eggs have gone up 73%. So as far as utility bills go, you have three main factors that are affecting the bills. May and June had historic hot weather, which means you're going to have historic air conditioner usage, which drives utility bills. That's about half or more of your utility bill is because of air conditioning use. So we have that record heat, that record air conditioner use, and then we have, coupled on top of that, record natural gas prices. So, and the storm costs are on there as well. So that all happened in June. So it has been kind of the ultimate storm from a price perspective. Now, you'll see in bold, Entergy does not make, we're not allowed by law to make any money off of the storm costs, nor the natural gas cost, or any type of fuel that we use to create electricity. The Louisiana Public Service Commission regulates us, they audit us. If they do find that we made 1 cent, they will make us return it to customers with interest. The storm costs, I'll explain how we don't make a profit. That seems odd. It would be akin to a contractor coming in town after a storm and saying, hey, I see your home was destroyed. I'll rebuild it for you, but I'm only going to rebuild it and charge you whatever the cost is to me and not make a penny off of it. You're whole, I'm whole, we move on. No business does that. We're a regulated utility, so we have to do that by law. Natural gas makes up for over half of our fuel mix, which drives prices. And I'm going to get into what's happened here with natural gas that you can see for yourself. This is a nice chart that breaks down a residential bill that everyone gets at their house. I put it into 3 buckets. You have your all other costs, which would include everything in this particular slide outside of storms or fuel costs. So if you look at it, there's a top graph there are the all other costs. Those are what are somewhat in our control as a utility company. If you look at July 2020 versus July of this year, all other costs that we can control have gone up about 7% or $5.40. That is generally stable. If you look at what's happened with fuel and storm, that's a different story. So I'll go to the next slide. And you can see that fuel, on the other hand, from the same time frame, July 2 years ago to July this year, has gone up $44.97 on a typical residential bill, and that's a 250% increase. And again, that's out of our control. It's coming from Henry Hub, the markets, and we do not make a penny and are not allowed to make a penny off of that. So even when you look at the bill and you want to see how much of it is in Entergy's control, how much of it is not, you can quickly see that fuel takes up the largest portion of the bill, which is out of our control, and we do not make a profit off of it. I have some pie charts here to show you what it looked like back in 2020. Fuel only accounted, and this is for a typical residential bill, if you looked at your bill, about 18% of your total bill would have been attributable to fuel. And that was in 2020. Storm costs were 3%, and then everything else was the total cost. You fast forward to 2021, fuel jumps up significantly, and again, that's because of market price increases outside of our control, a straight pass-through to customers, no profit, but they jump up to 28% of your total bill. Storms maintained at 3%. We did not have any new storms that were in rates in 2021 at that time, and then the rest of the bill was about 69%. And now here we are today, and this is where the inflation-type pain points are coming to our customers. Fuel costs now account for 40%, roughly half of your bill. And we did have $3.2 billion of storm costs that we were able to go out on the market after LPSC approval and get low interest rate bonds approved before the interest rates, which you've seen recently, have gone up, and I'm not sure where they're going to plateau, but they will level off eventually. But we were able to finance that, and that only makes up about 8% of your bill. And both storm costs and fuel costs, again, are pass-through costs that we do not make a profit off of and are out of our control. So with that, I'd like to move into the next section, and this is very important for our customers and your constituents. How do we get help? What can we do to make things easier? So if you go to Entergy.com and look at the bill help section, you'll find all kind of tips from energy efficiency, which means small things like closing the blinds, making sure if you don't have blinds, put up tinfoil or some sort of blackout to keep that heat, that sun on your windows from coming into your house and heating it up more, so then that means you'd have to use more air conditioning. I mean, those are simple tips. You also have a level billing program, which I'm sure some of y'all are on, which takes a rolling 12-month average of your utility bill, and you get somewhat closer each month to something you can budget for, and it spreads out that cost. You have like an over-under, if you will, and it just evens out with a rolling 12-month average. A deferred payment arrangement, if customers get into a situation where they're not able to pay their monthly bill all at once, contact 1-800-ENTERGY. We'll work with you, in essence, to give you an interest-free loan to spread it out however many months that are, that makes sense for you and the company to help you spread that burden of that bill. We also have the Power to Care and LIHEAP. The Power to Care is an Entergy employee-funded and a customer-funded program that helps low-income and elderly customers with their bill. LIHEAP is the federal version of that, where the money comes down and is handed out to customers in need that qualify as well. So energy efficiency is really where you save your money. And we have an Entergy Solutions program. Customers can go and look at it. It's on our website, Entergy Solutions. We'll do a home audit and look at things like insulation. We'll look at things maybe like an air conditioner tune-up, different things that we can provide the customers that they can go out and get to help reduce their usage. Now, these are the easiest low-hanging fruit options that you can do here. And the number one option that you can do is put your air conditioner thermostat up to 78 degrees in the summertime. I know that's uncomfortable, but however, it could save you significant amount of money on the monthly bill. I've got mine, it usually was on 72, I've bumped it up to 74, kind of acclimated to it for a couple of days and hit it up to 76, and that's my comfort zone. But if you want to optimize it, 78 degrees is the optimum setting. And with that, I'll open it up to any questions that you may have.
Councilman Brennan.
Thank you. Thank you, Council Chair. Patrick, thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate all the communication. I think I speak for everybody on the council. You're always willing to answer questions and assist us in any way, so certainly thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Councilmember Dunn.
Yeah. Patrick, I have one question. You talked about Operation Storm Ready, and you said that we can go to the website, but what about those that cannot, go to the website? Do you all give us a packet for the people in the district to help them prepare? Because this is going to be a every year thing for
Absolutely.
this. So do you give us a packet, or we just look at it online?
Absolutely. I can give you a packet for sure. On that website, there's a PDF. I think it's about 30 pages or so. And I can print them front and back and provide some to your office for you. And then also, if you have your printers that you want to do it on at your office as well, I'll provide you the link to do that option as well.
Thank you.
Patrick, I just want to say thank you for coming and presenting, the information that you did. And I do understand about the rising cost of utilities, and hopefully that will, during the summer months or, as we get into the fall, that'll decrease and have a less of an impact. So, thank you.
Absolutely.
Councilman Brannigan.
Patrick, thanks for being there all the time, and I'd like to know, the thermostats in my house, I've been told they don't have 78 degrees on it. It's like 68 degrees, so I don't know how you get it to 78 unless you're in the garage.
I think your wife is lying to you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Well, that's about all I have for the mayor's comment until we get to 13B, C, and D. I'll take up some time when we get to those.
Thank you. Oh, Councilman Brennan.
Excuse me, Mayor, would you just give us that figure, that approximation on the monthly expense? I just want to make certain I wrote it down right. I'm almost out of ink in my pen with all those numbers.
You should be. Well, what I have written here is 147,844, but that doesn't take into account some, miscellaneous recurring expenses. So with the IT department, everybody in here is working on these MiFi hotspots. So it's going to be around 155 to 160 a month.
Thank you. Thank you.
Under the consent agenda, we have item 1, approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of July 7, 2022. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 2283-22. The City of Kenner to hold a public gathering on July 30, 2022 from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. for the purpose of a Kenner Space Jam community event at Kenner Heritage Park. Item 3B is application number 2284-22. Metairie Humane Shelter to hold a public gathering on October 29, 2022 from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the purpose of a pet fest at Wentwood Playground, 200 West Loyola Drive. Madam Chairman, that will conclude the consent agenda.
Thank you. Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember Brennan. Councilmembers, please vote. Oh, do you have any?
Councilman McKinney?
Yay?
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Dunn?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Lahat?
Yay.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 8, public hearings for final passage. We have none. Item 9 is ordinances for the sale, purchase, transfer, lease, and/or alienation of immovable property. We have none. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. We have none. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution temporarily suspending Council Rule Number 7 to relocate the Kenner Council meetings to the Macy's Building at 1401 West Esplanade Avenue in Kenner, Louisiana for one additional month for the calendar year of 2022.
That's a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot. Any comments or questions before we vote? No. Council members, please vote.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Dunn?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Lahat?
Yay.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 13B is a resolution ratifying the appointment of Michael J. Power as interim city attorney for the city of Kenner.
It's a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan. Does the administration have any comments, or any of the council members?
Well, I just want to introduce him to, I guess, those of y'all that really don't know him or just met him recently, that he has a vast knowledge of local government. He started, I'm not going to say way back when, in private practice where they represented the city of Kenner on a contract basis, and then he's been a Kenner city attorney. He's been in the parish attorney's office, so he's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of institutional knowledge in and around dealing with, the city of Kenner. And he's been through many, many storms, so he's going to help out, I guess, for a couple. I say a couple. He says a couple. I say a few, but it's going to be just several months. He's willing to come back and give us some help.
Councilmember Brannigan.
Welcome. We appreciate you coming in, and it's going to be nice to have someone that knows the charter now.
Okay. And welcome. I am excited to be able to work with you. I've heard many, many good things about you. And I think that we're going to have a wonderful working relationship, so I look forward to that.
If I could say something, when I was city attorney, Mike was my mentor. This is another rock star for this administration. I think he wrote the charter. He's been practicing law so long, his bar numbers are double digits. So, but this is a great addition. Everybody's got a comfort with Mike. And welcome aboard, Mayor. Another great decision, and I'm anxious to work with Mr. Power again.
Thank you, Chief Conley. Attorney, yes, Attorney Power.
Whoa. I just want to thank you. Of course, you haven't voted yet, but I assume I'm thanking you in advance. I look forward to working. I've seen a lot of faces of people that I've known for many years and have enjoyed working with every single one of them. And I look forward to work. I know 2 members of this council. I've met others this morning, and I hope to meet everyone eventually. I know Brian very well. He and I had the fortune, or perhaps misfortune, of the last Charter Review Committee. We were both members. I chaired the committee. We had a lot of recommendations which were promptly ignored, but I think they were good recommendations. And I thank you for your confidence.
Great. Council members, please vote. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Morella. I apologize.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 50 years. Mr. Powell, I haven't seen you since the Mike Yenny days with the parish. And, but I gotta say, you do make the rounds from the parish to the city, from the city of Kenner back to the parish. So anyway, that's my comments. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morella. If you can approach and say your name and...
Richard Brown, 824 Sessions Lane, Kenner. I just want to commend Chief Mayor Glazer on his choice of Mike Power as interim city attorney. I am elated. I think it's an awesome choice. I am thrilled to have Mr. Power back in charge of the city attorney's office. Mike, we need you badly now, so thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Greg Taft, 3720 West Loyola Drive in Kenner. Mayor Glazer, you answered one of my questions because I was trying to figure out why we would want an interim instead of someone full-time, but I understand if he's only willing to stay for a while, that makes sense. But my real concern has been from previous council meetings. And that concern is that when the city attorney gives an opinion, there were council members that ignored that opinion and still went forward. So my two issues are, one, will you, Mr. Powell, and Mayor Glazer, commit to supporting the charter as it's written until the people change it? The other thing is, will Chief, Conley, well, Chief Conley, it's my understanding that Section 5.09 of the charter actually has you responsible for enforcing the charter, just like it has you to enforce crime and also applicable state laws.
That's correct.
My question to you is very simple. Are you actually going to stand up to the council when they are doing something that is against the charter and not by the will of the people, and protect the charter?
If that's what I'm charged to do, that's what I'm going to do.
Well, that is in Section 509.
I agree.
And I don't know if that means you're charged to do it, or if it's not mandatory or not. Because I know I've heard so many different interpretations of what that charter says. So I would presume that you'd want to protect it. And Chief, and of course, Mayor Glazer, I'm hoping, because I do see that we're doing things, but I just want to emphasize that I just hope that you're going to continue to work for the people, for the city, for the betterment of the city, and whoever our attorney is, that you're going to give them the support in the event that members of the council, is our legislative body, take it upon themselves that they prefer to ignore that opinion and go forward with the legislation. That's really all I have to say, and I thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Teff. Ms. Alessandro.
Hello, Stacey Alessandro, 4th District. I just want to say to the mayor, thank you for appointing Mr. Power as interim city attorney. I think it was an excellent choice. You know, the city has suffered over the last several years with some poor choices in the city attorney's office by the previous administration. There has been horrible advice given. Now, some city attorneys were wonderful, but for the most part, there's been awful advice given. And, you know, and I'm glad you're taking your time and to figure out exactly who is going to be the city attorney, because it's so important. And I really thank Mr. Power for coming here and helping us to get through this mess. I mean, this is a huge undertaking. You're trying to unravel how many years of just stuff that has gotten us into so much trouble, and, you know, I want to say almost corruption. I don't know how long it's going to take you just to unravel what's already been done. But, you know, Mr. Power, I think you're an excellent choice, and I wish, you know, maybe you would consider staying on, because City of Kenner has suffered, and we need help. And you're the man for the job. And, you know, I don't know how long you're willing to stay, but, you know, I hope it's a long time. So thank you, guys. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Oh, and also just one other little technical point I'd like to point out to one of the, going to what one of the previous speakers said. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the city attorney, when you give opinions, it's just an opinion. It doesn't carry the force of law or anything like that. You're just giving your opinion on a particular issue.
That's correct. And in the past, and not the previous administration, but quite a few administrations have chosen to ignore that advice. But I believe the advice has always been sound and correct.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Alessandro. Councilman Brannigan.
Yeah, I have a response to Mr. Teff because basically, at the last council meeting, the one before, he called out Councilman Wilmot and I about not following opinions of the city attorney, but yet when the opinion of the city attorney's office on June 3rd of 2021, the mayor didn't follow what he told Councilmember McKinney and I, that the city attorney's opinion is the opinion come hell or high water. And 5 days later, he went and hired outside counsel to come in and go against our city attorney. So let me tell you something. It's a two-way street here. You came and you said that Councilmember Wilmot and I did not listen to the last city attorney, but you didn't say a word when the mayor did that. And, you know, I have a problem with that.
Councilman Brennan?
Well, I think Councilman Brannigan looked at my notes because that's basically what I was going to say. It is a two-way street. I think we've got a great choice here, and I didn't comment earlier, Mr. Powers, with no disrespect. I think it's going to be another feather in the administration's cap, and that's very, very true. It's when the council does something, we get people that come up and tell us how wrong we are. We're not going to agree on everything with the administration, and that's our job, to question things. We've obviously questioned past administrations and asked for information. We get told we didn't ask enough questions. We ask about rent. We ask about the cost of Macy's. We're told it's $60,000. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. Well, we're not even a month into the new administration. Costs seem to be a little higher for Macy's than we were thinking. So it's just amazing that everybody that preaches to be good government can come up here and throw rocks at us and slam us. Well, it is a two-way street. And if the attorney gives an opinion, we have a right to ask questions and maybe undo that, as well as the mayor. But to just constantly keep saying that the council is doing that is absolutely ludicrous. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brennan. Seeing no additional comments, council members, please vote.
Councilman Dunn?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Lahat?
Yay.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Welcome back, Captain. Item 13C is a resolution ratifying the appointment of Eric A. Mund as Deputy City Attorney for the City of Kenner.
Motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember McKinney. Any comments?
Yes.
I have one quick comment. Oh, but I'm sorry, Mayor. I've been back for a little over a week, and I couldn't have survived the first day without Eric Munn. He has a phenomenal amount of knowledge about how the city operates or how it should operate. And I have relied on him, and I will continue to rely on him. I strongly recommend him. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other additional comments? Councilmember Wilmot?
Yeah, I just wanted to ditto the same comments. Eric, welcome back. And I fully plan on supporting you. Thank you.
Councilmember Dunn?
Yes, Eric, thank you. You've definitely been here for us, and I know if we need you, you're going to be here. Thank you.
And I just want to, before we vote, I also want to make a comment. Thank you. I'm so glad to have someone who knows what contracts and how to do contracts in the attorney's office, and I look forward to working with you going forward. So. No one else? Council members, please vote.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Lahat?
Yay.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Welcome back, Eric. Item 13D is a resolution ratifying the appointment of Michelle H. Dufresne as Assistant City Attorney for the City of Kenner.
Motion Motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan. Any comments? City Attorney?
My comments are very brief because I just met Ms. Dufresne 2 days ago. But I know of her reputation as an attorney, which is excellent, and I believe she is so far proven to be a quick study and very inquisitive about the operations of the city. I believe she would be a very good choice for the position. Thank you.
And I have a comment.
Yes, Mayor?
She's the newcomer of the group. So she's got criminal and civil trial background. And the city attorney's office isn't just coming here and offering advice to council members and to the administration. They pretty much run the mayor's court, the prosecution and mayor's court, and to keep some of the minor civil stuff in-house that doesn't take a lot of expert, it's a lot cheaper to hire someone that has the experience. So she'll fill that role. So she'll be, I guess, wear a lot of hats in and around, the city attorney's office.
Great, thank you, Mayor. Yes. Mr. Brown, you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Chief Glazer, I agree with Chief Glazer from what I know about. I still call her Michelle Hesney, but Michelle Dufresne. I think she does have fairly extensive civil and criminal trial background that can be beneficial to the city. I would love to see us keeping more legal work in-house rather than farming it out to expensive outside firms. I think my only concern is that I know Michelle, has been in private practice, I think 22 years, apparently has a fairly good practice. And I'm curious as to why she or you, Mr. Friend, if you care to answer, or maybe the chief, as to why you would be giving up that 22-year career in private practice to come to work as an assistant city attorney, and are there plans to, possibly continue your private work on the side?
Well, I believe she'll answer the question because she's standing behind you. Yes.
Okay. Hi, hey there.
Nice to meet you. See you again. I have been in practice for 23 years almost, but a year ago, I actually went into working for a real estate company and started closing my private practice down way before this even came around. So I literally have 2 civil cases still open. I don't have a private office anymore. I started working for Title Stream, which was a title company, in February of 2021. So when this position came open, it just sort of seemed like the right fit. I'm a Kenner resident. I've lived in Kenner for 23 years, love Kenner, and this is where I plan to stay. So this is why I'm here, to do whatever needs to be done. I'm sort of, like the mayor said, wearing a lot of hats. Whatever somebody needs me to do, need to take out the trash, take out the trash. I'm here to help. I know we've got a lot of things that need to be fixed, and I'm hoping I can assist Mr. Power. I'm very excited to learn from him and from Eric Munn. They've both been fantastic, so thank you.
Should I follow up just with a very brief comment? To Michelle, that satisfies my concerns, and I had heard that, Michelle, that you had apparently cut back on your court appearances lately. I knew you just, from what I've heard, have not been in court nearly as much as you used to be, and this explains it, that if she's winding down her civil practice already, this move makes perfect sense, and I think she'll be a very good addition.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Comments? Council members, please vote.
Councilman Lahat?
Yay.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Dunn?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Welcome aboard.
All right.
Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. We have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 12,989. An ordinance approving an engineering agreement with Shred Kirkendall and Associates Incorporated to provide professional engineering services associated with the Chateau Transfer Station Improvements Project for the amount not to exceed $312,984 for the Department of Public Works.
It's a
I have a
motion by
motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Schwartz.
Councilmember Brannigan.
Yes, I want to let the residents in North Kenner know that this project, we're going to be approving this, hopefully we'll be approving this today with my colleagues. It is the start to fix the Chateau transfer station that has basically 28 inlets going into it for sewer throughout North Kenner. And about 12 years ago, there was a temporary fix done to this station, and it was a temporary fix that Mayor Glazer and I met with BLD and the Kirkendall firms last week and talked about what the process is. We need to get the process started in order to be able to fix and permanently fix what's going on at the Chateau transfer station. We found out that we do not want the temporary fix to break, because then a lot of North Kenner will not be able to flush their toilets, and that will be a major issue. So I want this, I hope I have, but I want the support on this to pass this today so we can get this process started. We cannot have that thing break and be in the situation that it's going to cause.
Any additional comments? Oh, Mayor Glazer?
Yeah, and this was deferred, I think, twice now, because I wanted to get a meeting with the engineers and the maintenance, people that do the maintenance on this, with Jose here. And it's long overdue. They keep throwing dirt on top of it to kind of, I guess, Band-Aid the problem. The issue is we learned about what's become a slip joint, where you have a pipe that the wells are busted and it's sinking and moving out, and it's temporary at best, and it's about an inch left. You got about an inch left of settlement before it's just spewing an open pipe of sewage. So my concern is the engineering part of it has to do with screens and the potential of bringing back the odor in the area, and that's something I didn't want. So this is the initial phase to get this project going. But Mr. Al, there's going to be change orders on it. We're going to have to increase the price because we wanted them to add some more components to what the original, I guess, design was. And that was kind of the reason we met to discuss, I guess, how we're going to control everything. Because you don't want to control this and just create a whole different issue with the residents in and around North Kenner of a constant odor of a transfer station where the force mains are coming in. So that'll be taken care of. It's going to increase the price, but we do think it'll be a better project when it's finished.
Thank you, Mayor Glazer. Councilman Brannigan?
Yes, and we will be coming back to the council to make this project go on. I mean, it's a situation where when you do make changes, like Mayor Glazer said, we're going to have to come back. It is going to cost more, we know that, but it's something that we can't let slide any further. It's got to be fixed. So the process is to approve this today and get the ball rolling so that we can make sure we don't have a major issue at this transfer station.
Thank you, Councilman Brannigan. Councilmember Wilmot?
Thank you. And I just would like somebody from the administration to address, it's 312,000, almost 313,000. If you can just elaborate a little bit for the cost purposes.
Joanne, can you come up and explain the scope of work associated with this project? What I'm going to say, we're dealing with an oil station and a station that needs a lot of work, okay, like most of our sewer system throughout the city. But as far as the scope of work that we are approving today, I'm going to let Joanne kind of explain briefly what the scope of work is.
Initial funding for this project is coming from the Chateau force main. That was one of the LDEQ projects, and we tested that, did a condition assessment of the force main. The force main was in good condition, so we're using the $12 million to do other projects. We're making improvements at the station to add, to fix the influent splitter box at the station and the influent line going into the wet well. We're going to put a bar screen there. We're going to get the proper size generator, because right now the generator that we have does not work properly, and it cannot handle all of the to run all the pumps during an emergency. Also, we're going to put VFDs. We have one VFD that runs all 3 pumps. That was the design back in 2006, because that's when the station was built. So we're upgrading that, and then we're going to do other stuff. So the engineering fees is going to be based on the construction plus it'll be the design, and then they'll be responsible to work through the construction, doing all the bids, all of the reviews of the bids, and all, progress meetings and all that, and file all the paperwork.
Is there any match on this, or is it all on the city?
Oh, all of this is under the LDEQ loan.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Morella?
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 50 years. I have no problem with an increase in the cost on projects like this, as long as we are going to get a better product and we're going to get a reasonable explanation as to why the increased cost. And it's always better to be proactive than to be reactive. We deal with this all the time with the parish. Go over all the change orders when I go to those meetings. And that's the same thing I get over there. And like I said, as long as we're proactive instead of being reactive, and we're getting a better product, reasonable explanation, satisfied with it. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morella. Any other additional comments? Council members, please vote.
Yes.
Brennan,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yay?
Wilmot,
Yay.
Dunn,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Lahat.
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15B, summary ordinance number 13,032. An ordinance authorizing an agreement with Centrica Business Solution Services Incorporated to provide performance-based energy efficiency services in accordance with RFP number 22-6663 and pursuant to LARS 33:4547.1.
Motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember Dunn. We actually got a request to indefinitely defer the request to the administration. Do you have any comments? Ms. Vallow?
Am I on?
Just speak really loudly.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. This is a contract. The idea behind it is energy savings within all of our public buildings, which is a great idea. However, the city right now is in the midst of recovery. We're doing triage on buildings and things of that nature, and to incur some cost, not necessarily all up front, but we're looking at a contract that's $300,000 for 20 years. And right now, I think that the city needs to truly focus on repairing what we have and taking into mind that we can do energy efficient savings on things with lighting, switching out lights from regular to LED, and we can move along that way. And once we're in a process of getting ready to put people back in city buildings, we'll be looking at scopes of work within that to make sure that we have smart buildings and smart structures that encompass what this company can do. But right now, I think we need to focus on getting out of Macy's and getting everybody into their proper places. So, any questions?
Councilmember Wilmot?
I would just like to say I commend y'all for that. I agree 100%. Thank you.
Any other comments? Ms. Alessandro?
I totally agree with you on that. I tried to read this contract, and it was like 100 pages of gibberish, and it was just all over the place. And I volunteered to do this with my time, and after like an hour, I gave up, and I was like, I can't even figure out how much this is going to cost us. And it seems like they were only telling us to replace our light bulbs with LED bulbs and upgrade our AC systems. And I'm like, we don't need to pay, I don't know how much, now you're telling me $300,000 for somebody to tell us to do that. I was like, this is just a leftover from the Zahn administration, and I don't know, I had tons of questions. I'm glad y'all are gonna defer indefinitely. The council, you guys are so wise. And I wanna, also, just the last thing is, I just wanna say thank you, because it's obvious that we have a huge change in this room. And you guys are actually looking at these contracts, and you're asking questions, and the administration is, and that's the way government is supposed to be ran. And so I'm so glad we're getting back to that. So thank you to everybody up here right now. Thank you.
And Stacy, it was 149 pages. I read it on Tuesday, and it was exhausting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alessandro. Councilmember Brannigan.
Stacy, Ms. Alessandro, it's called a common sense approach.
Thank you.
Motion by Councilmember Lahat, seconded by Councilmember Dunn, to indefinitely defer. At the council members, please vote.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Dunn?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Lahat?
Yay.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is summary ordinance number 13,033. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from NOLA Painting and Finishing LLC to furnish and install roofing at 624 Williams Boulevard in accordance with letter bid 22-2009 in the amount of $26,992 for the Department of General Services.
The motion by Councilmember Schwartz, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot. There's been a request for a one-meeting deferral for this contract. Any comments? Yes. Councilmember Schwartz.
Thank you, Council President. I contacted Mr. Ellis about the contract and some concerns that citizens had about a painting company and furnishing doing roofing work. Well, he assured me that he's been doing this since Ida, and he's got several homes that he has done, and he's going to be here next meeting in August, our first meeting in August, and he's going to give a presentation to everyone to try to kind of squash any doubts or anything about his craftsmanship and his work. His prices are very good, and I think we're going to definitely benefit from him being a contract for the city of Kenner. Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to know, I'm taking time on this. I'm not using my phone. Any other comments or questions? Okay. Council, oh, yes. Oh, I apologize, Mr. Brown.
Let me see, wait a minute. This is on 16.
C.
15C,
Right,
15C,
15C.
Richard. I just want to say that I also had, and it applies to this number as well as there's 2 or 3 others, where there's proposal to hire that company to do other roofing work. You know, they are licensed contractors with a commercial contracting license, but it does not show that they have a specialty in roofing. I'm not sure that there is a specialty in roofing, but they do show having a specialty certification in flooring, et cetera. So I just hope that y'all do check out, or check them out to make sure they're really qualified to do this work. That's all.
Mr. Richard, I got some pictures I can show you that Mr. Ellis did send me. He texted them to me. So I can show you some of the works that he's done.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I appreciated talking to you about this the other day. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Councilmember Brannigan.
Yes, I read through the backup data, and I did not notice, or I could have missed, how many squares we were getting of roofing for that dollar amount. So I think they need to tell us how many squares we're getting.
I'll talk to Mark about that, and it's not in any of the bid work. Actually, what they go and say, there's the building, that's the roof, give me a price. Yeah, that's the same thing I said.
I mean, I put a roof on my house, and I wondered how many squares I was paying for, because if you're paying a per square price, you don't want to go pay $800 a square for it. I mean, I think that, you know, we need to know how much material we're getting for the job for $26,000.
Exactly. I had the same questions, and there's no place on the bid forms anywhere for him to put down how much material is actually needed on a job. It's just what material to use.
Well, we need to change the bid form then.
I agree.
My name's Jimmy Gross. I live in Kenner. I'm a state licensed general contractor, and don't misconstrue what I'm going to say, because I'm not looking for any work from the city. Again, I'm trying to move towards being retired. But as far as me watching you accepting bids from other licensed contractors, there should be a process of who is looking at what's the pricing supposed to be. My suggestion would be find someone that can oversee this with like an Xactimate program that specifies how much per square things should be done for. And then that way you will not be wasting any of the city's money. It's just a strong suggestion. It's what I have to do in the field that I'm in. I'm here for something else, but I'll wait for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Alessandro?
Thank you. Mr. Ronnie, did the gentleman happen to say how many commercial roofs his company has already put on? I mean, I know you said they've been in business since Ida, but that's only a few months. And like Mr. Brown said, I think their specialty is painting and interior design. I mean, this company may be well qualified for all I know. I'm just asking questions because it, like y'all said, common sense. How many commercial roofs have they put on? And then I do have one other thing to point out about this bid. I think it should be rebid completely, because if you look at the responses or the RFP, it just says Owings Corning shingles or equivalent. I looked it up. Owings Corning has 5 different lines of shingles. You could get the economy line, or you can have the premium, or anywhere in between. We need to be specific on the type of shingle, the method of installation, what do we expect for removal, how much is it going to be if they find a rotten sheet of decking when they're up there, the 4x8 sheets of plywood, how much per sheet is that, because that's very common. This bid is just so generic, it doesn't ask about price per square. Any contractor that reads it would laugh at what was put out by the city. And, you know, maybe NOLA Painting may be the best company for the job, but we're talking about 4 roofs here. We all know the problems we've had, and one of them is at the fire station. We know the problems we've had with fire station roofs leaking mold and all. We need to be sure that we get this right. And so I would ask, you know, somebody, I don't know who it is in the city who's in charge, who has the expertise, but to look at that request for bids and maybe redo it and do it right, and then let's have another bid process potentially. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alessandro. I do want to comment that we are talking about the 1 meeting deferral, not the actual the contract. So, and the contractor, my understanding, is going to be here at the next meeting. So, any comments further going forward, please only address the 1 meeting deferral. Mr. Morella.
Okay, the 1 meeting deferral, I can understand why you're deferring this, Councilwoman, but I just want to make just one quick comment. For years, I've been concerned in the process, okay? For years, I've been saying, and I, as a citizen, have been personally inviting and encouraging all responsible bidders to participate in the state open bid process for contracts and the RFP process. And I don't think previous administrations and previous councils have been doing the same thing. I think there's been preferential treatment. I think there's been political payback going on in here. And I think we need to encourage all responsible bidders. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morella. Couldn't agree more. Council members, please vote on the 1 meeting deferral.
McKinney?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Dunn?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Lahat?
Yay.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15D is summary ordinance number 13,034. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from NOLA Painting and Finishing LLC to furnish and install roofing for Fire Station 35 in accordance with letter bid 22-2010 in the amount of $15,863 for the Department of General Services.
There's been a request for removal of this item by the administration and a council member. The motion to remove is motion by Councilmember Swarth and seconded by Councilmember Kinney. Any discussion? Council members, please vote.
Councilman Wilmot,
Yay.
Dunn,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Mahat,
Yay.
Brannigan,
Yes.
Brennan,
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you. What are we doing on this? We're,
There's
Deferring
a,
it.
there's a
Just a
remove, yeah,
removal.
the removal
That's-
from the administration.
thank you. Yes.
McKinney.
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15E is summary ordinance number 13,035. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from NOLA Painting and Finishing LLC to furnish and install roofing for Fire Station 36 in accordance with letter bid 22-2013 in the amount of $14,250 for the Department of General Services.
Motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember McKinney. There's been a request for a one meeting deferral of this item as well. Any discussion on the one meeting deferral? Council members, please vote.
Councilman Dunn,
Yes.
Schwartz,
Yes.
Lahat,
Yay.
Brannigan,
Yes.
Brennan,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yay.
Wilmot.
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15F is summary ordinance number 13,036. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from NOLA Painting and Finishing LLC to furnish and install roofing at Rivertown Church located in Rivertown in accordance with letter bid 22-2012 in the amount of $12,866 for the Department of General Services.
Motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Swarth for a one meeting deferral of this item as well. Any comments or? Council members, please vote.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Lahat,
Yay.
Brannigan,
Yes.
Brennan,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yay.
Wilmot,
Yay.
Dunn.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15G is summary ordinance number 13,037. An ordinance approving a two-year agreement with Flying Locksmiths of New Orleans to provide locksmith services as needed in accordance with letter bid 22-2014 in an amount not to exceed $25,000 annually for the Department of General Services.
I have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Lahat. Any comments? Council members, please, Councilmember Brannigan.
Is this a renewal or a new contract?
The locksmith one, we had to go back out for bids. It's an annual contract, but it's a new vendor.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And just so y'all know, I know Mark's not here, but they try to do about 70 to 80% of the locksmith work in-house. So we've only spent $7,000 annually in the past. So the General Service Department can do most of the work in-house.
That was my next question. How much
Okay.
did we spend? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Brannigan. Council members, please vote.
Councilman Lahat,
Yay.
Brannigan,
Yes.
Brennan,
Yes.
McKinney,
Yay.
Wilmot,
Yay.
Dunn,
Yes.
Schwartz.
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15H is summary ordinance number 13,038. An ordinance ratifying the emergency purchase and installation of 3 air conditioning systems, 2 20-ton systems, and 1 5-ton system at Wentwood Gym by Beacon Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Incorporated in the amount of $73,000.
Motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Swarth. Any questions? Mr. Brown, do you have any comments?
To my voice. I have a question about this. This is the approval or ratification of an emergency purchase of 3 air conditioning units for Wentwood Gym. I don't question the need for the air conditioning units. What bothers me is that I do not see why on earth this had to be done as an emergency purchase. It was apparently, I looked at all the underlying documents on my computer at home, but I did not print them out. But it looks like back in May, I think the Department of General Services or somebody requested, emergency purchase of these air conditioning units for Wentwood Gym, stating that it's going to be used by school children, we need to get it air conditioned, yada, yada. I agree with that. But in May of this year, they should have known for months that that gym needed new air conditioning units. That should not have been news to them in May. They should have known it for months after the hurricane. Secondly, we're in the middle of July, and I think those units still haven't been installed. School starts in another month or two. I know efforts are being made to get Wentwood Gym up and running. I think they're replacing flooring now. But this was apparent. I'm assuming it was a telephone bid. There was only one bid. My question is, why did this have to be done as an emergency purchase? And what happens if the council refuses to approve it? Have those units been, I got, I guess, three questions. Number one, have those units been purchased already? Number two, have they been paid for already? And number three, what happens if the council does not ratify this emergency purchase? It concerns me that some department heads can just decide something is an emergency, and although several people have to sign off on it, it gets done without council approval. Those are the three main questions, plus any other explanation as to how this emergency purchase process works would be appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Ms. Herring?
So the units weren't out because of Ida. They broke in May, and that's why there was an emergency. So we had one unit down before that, and the additional 2 units went out at that time. So that's what caused the emergency. They weren't out all along, and obviously the school was using it, so that's what caused the emergency. I have to check and see. We issued a PO processes once the emergency purchase is approved. Purchasing issues the purchase order. So the council's notified of the emergency purchase. We use that form. It's routed. As far as if they're installed, I'm not sure. Wayne, do you know if they're installed yet? Okay, they're not. So they're not installed yet.
Can you or somebody tell me what happens if the city council refuses to ratify an emergency purchase?
Well, when it goes out, they're emailed and they respond. The prior council all were all right with it by email.
I saw where they were notified. The only response I saw was one from Christy McKinney, who asked a question, but I didn't see any responses from any council members.
If I may, there is a procedure for declaring an emergency, and certain criteria have to be met. The director makes the determination as to whether or not it's an emergency. The members of the council are notified of the emergency, of the nature of the emergency, and give a tacit approval, although it is not a vote, it is not binding, but it gives the department head the confidence they need that the council will approve it when it comes before them as having actually been an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Power. I still don't know what would happen if the council did not approve it, but that information does help.
That hasn't happened, so I don't know how to answer your question.
Councilmember Brennan.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, just so you'll know, I respond to all of those, and I usually don't do it as a reply all. I usually just respond to the document.
And I believe that your response is in the background as well. So, Councilmember Brannigan and then Councilmember Lahat.
On this piece of legislation, the thing that caught my eye was a $73,000 price tag. And basically, when I went into the document and read it, we're getting 25 tons of air conditioning, complete new systems in there. And if you change a 3-ton system at your home, you're looking at $10,000. So that's basically 8 times that. So I think that the price for what is being done is within the parameters that it needs to be.
And it may be, it looked to me like it was just one bid, probably a telephone bid.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Councilmember Lahat.
Richard, that was actually a question I had for you with the parliamentary procedure. Since you're such an expert, I've been sitting in this council for the last year, listening to everything going on, and I've always wondered, too, if the council did not ratify an emergency purchase, would procedurally on parliamentary procedure, what happens? I've looked it up and I can't figure it out either. And I'm honestly new to this, and I'd love to have the answer to that question. I know it's an expense already done. It seems like there was notice out. That's one thing I want to get clarified is how the emergency purchases do go down, and what happens later if the council doesn't fully approve it. I don't know. The money's already changed. I don't know parliamentary procedure what does occur, but we do need to get the answer to that because I've been wondering that for at least 12 months.
Thank you, Mr. Lahat. And I don't know.
Councilman Swarth.
I just got one little question here. If it's so much of an emergency, here we are at the end of July, and it's still not even installed. How come it be so much of an emergency if it takes, is it that long of a process from the time it's purchased to the time it's installed?
There could be a back order issue with the equipment as to actually obtaining the equipment. I don't know. I'm not prepared to give you.
Actually, that is correct. There is a big back order on a lot of parts for ACs, especially since Ida. But to answer the question about what we would do if the council would disapprove it, as many air conditioners and big fans that we have in the city of Kenner would go to the gym. So that way the kids could actually go inside the gym to be outside of the weather for something like that for an AC until it is approved.
Thank you. Any additional comments? Ms. Alessandro?
Hi, just a question. When something is bid by, maybe this is for Liz, when we have an emergency purchase, are we paying more, like a premium for something like that? It seems like we probably would be.
Typically not. I mean, it's, when there's an emergency, the departments make their best effort to get 3 quotes, but it's not a requirement. If it's something obviously that we already have a contract for and, you know, we're working towards that, having standard contracts already in place if an emergency would happen so that it limits emergency purchases. But a lot of times we can't predict everything and we can't have every, you know, piece of equipment on a contract. But typically, even if we went to an emergency purchase, obviously funding is a huge issue. So if it's a budget restraint, that factors into, you know, what the decision is made. So I wouldn't say that there's a high premium on it. Obviously, when you go through the entire bid process, it gives more opportunity for other people to bid on the item, so you could possibly have a competition for pricing. But in this case, it's a vendor that we often use. I think it's a fair price.
So that was my other question. Is there a reason, or do we have a contract for air conditioning services with one vendor with a price list? If you need a 2-ton system, it will be this much. I mean, all the way up to 25 tons. And that way, it's not an emergency. You just pick up the phone and say, you know, hey, Beacon, we need the 20-ton unit. And
With pricing changing just frequently, sometimes it's hard to set prices for something like that. And what we're running into with vendors is even if they quoted us or gave us a set price, they're backing out of contracts because the cost has increased. They can't, you know, live up to what their bid was. We do have a contract for labor only with Beacon. So they perform basically service requests for us with labor, and we can buy just minor equipment to fix what we already have. But as far as a new unit, typically we would go out to bid. I know General Services kind of, like Mr. Brown said, is kind of more proactive in knowing what units need to be replaced. In this situation, both units went out at the same time, so it's not like they could make it through to do a sealed bid.
okay, and was this price for just the units, or is this includes
This is
the labor?
install also.
It includes installation and everything? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alessandro. And just to, one of my questions when we were notified is if it was under a current contract, and if it was considered an emergency purchase. And the answer was that it was under a current contract, so, and it was considered an emergency purchase, just to clarify that, if that answers your question. No other comments? Council members, please vote.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Dunn?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Lahat?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15I is summary ordinance number 13,039. An ordinance approving the use of state contract number 4400011240 and 10-year financing agreement with Axon Enterprise Incorporated for the purchase of the Officer Safety Plan 7 plus premium bundle package, including all associated hardware, software, peripherals, and applicable training in an amount not to exceed $5,500,000 for the Kenner Police Department.
It's a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember McKinney. Any comments? Council members, please vote. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Wilmot.
Looking at this is a hardware, software, peripherals, and applicable training, and then the amount is 5.5 million. I just want an explanation on this.
I'll be happy to handle that.
Police Chief Conley.
Yeah, I'm sorry we missed that meeting. This is essentially body cameras. At one time, they were cost prohibitive, mainly because of the data storage and retention that was required by the agency. However, now these third-party contractors and these vendors have perfected that to where they handle the data storage, and it's totally accessible to the user on a web-based program. What this package has given us is a lot more than just body cameras. You actually get the units. We're getting 140 of the units, unlimited data storage. It's got Bluetooth technology, which is a backup in case all the cameras are activated. If the officer activates his overhead lights, withdraws a weapon, or deploys the taser, it automatically activates his camera, not just his camera, but every other camera in the area. We're also going to get, you get a warranty for the entire 10 years, training. We're getting 10 dash cam units that are going to go into 20 of the units. That's also on the same unlimited data plan. We're having 2 interview rooms, which are going to be outfitted with the same camera system with some transcription services. You get the training component, which includes the headgear and the goggles system to go through actual virtual type scenarios for the officers, shoot, don't shoot, how to clear a room, active shooting situations, things of that nature where they can be, their actions can be recorded. It's a training tool that can be used to critique the officers on a regular basis. We also get the taser units. Our taser units, they go in and out every 3 to 4 years. So we're going to get an upgrade. We're going to get brand new taser units, cartridges, training cartridges, the training that goes with that, the warranties that go with that. And on all these systems, within the 10 years, every upgrade, we're going to get that equipment. It's important to lock that down over 10 years because the price of technology and the software, it's going to continue to rise. So we're locked into those prices. So I think we're one of the last agencies in Jefferson Parish to do this. These prices, it is on state contract. We've shopped it around. We continue to shop it around. We visited our neighbors in Gretna, kind of get an idea of, what problems they've had in implementation, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. But there's a complete buy-in in the community, a complete buy-in by the officers. Another thing it does, it saves a lot of taxpayer dollars. Internal affairs complaints are resolved very swiftly because it's right there in black and white. Either it happened or it didn't, which saves a lot of time, doesn't take the officers off the streets for that investigation and those processes. Law enforcement liability cases, lawsuits, you can get out on summary judgment if it's right there on the video. So there's a lot of upside to it. And I do want to thank Chief Mayor Glazer, as he's now being called, for some creative financing, some funding, as well as the support we've had with this entire council. And when we get to some of the other items, there's a lot of outside funding that's coming in. But, this is the direction that everybody else is going in, and I just think it adds another level of transparency, and it's a benefit to the city.
Thank you for that explanation, and I do agree that we do need these. This is a great move, but I just, from a council perspective, it is a lot of money, and I just wanted to follow up. Ms. Herring, if you can give us an understanding on our budget, how this impacts our budget.
So the police department has a capital account where most of it will come from. And then we've vowed to work with the chief on future payments. Obviously, it's a yearly payment of $550,000. So we have the first payment, and we're going to work together to make sure the funding is set aside for them.
Okay, and you feel comfortable that we have the funding for the future for this? Great, great, great. That's, yeah, well needed. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Ms. Herring. Thank you, Administration. This is a great move. Thank you.
Yeah, and just so you know, Tom, that we did meet with the administration. We've been talking about this since March. So there's been a lot of coordination with the incoming administration to make sure that this can be done, and it will be budgeted for in the future.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wilmot. Thank you, Police Chief. Councilmember Lahat and then Councilmember Dunn.
Chief Collins, wanted to say the people of District 3 are happy to support the Kenner Police Department. We're here for you. Very excited about this move to better equip your officers, protect them at all times, and we look forward to keeping Kenner safe.
Thank you, and thank you for your support.
Yeah,
Councilmember-
Chief, I think that this is very needed, especially in my district, because we don't want all of that back and forth, this happened, that happened. And I know that there were some things that had gone on already in District 1 that caused some other problems. So thank you for allowing body cams, because that's very important to me in
Well,
this
and the
district.
truth, going to that point, the truth of the matter is it brings another level of credibility.
Yes,
Whenever a
yes.
police officer encounters a member of the public or some situation, there's 30 or 40 cell phones that are recording it. And by the time the officer gets back to the station, that data is manipulated, uploaded, God knows, what we're looking at. So, this data will be protected. It cannot be edited or manipulated. So we'll have the truth of what occurred.
Thank you. Councilmember Brannigan.
Chief, I want to thank you for also giving the council information on this stuff. I watched the pennies, and there's a lot of pennies in $5.5 million, but I think that this is a no-brainer, and we have to have this technology to move forward.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Councilmember Brannigan. Councilman Brennan.
To echo that, Chief, it's, we want our city to be safe, obviously. It's very important for everyone. But we also want our police officers and our firemen to be safe. And we need to do everything we can to ensure that we get the most qualified people that we can get. We need to have the best technology and everything else that's available. We also need to show that we have to them that they have our support, which is very, very important. I know in conversations we've had in meetings, you've talked about the need to hire people. I see that on Facebook, that other agencies are trying to recruit as well. We need to do our best to make certain the men and women of the Kenner Police Department and the Kenner Fire Department have all the equipment they need and all the resources that they need to make us a premier police department, or continue to be a premier police department. Excuse me, I don't want to infer anything to the former chief. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And look, to that point, I'd like to say, the Kenner Police Department has been a model agency. And by taking steps like this, we'll stay in stride and continue to be the model agency. It is part, we are trying to recruit and retain the current officers we have, and technology like this goes a long way in making a statement as to the progression of your department.
Thank you, Councilman Brennan. Councilmember Swarth.
Chief, retired from FD, well, I've always supported PD. So therefore, at any time you need any help or anything like that, just please don't hesitate, and thank you for just everything for right now. You've done so much in just last couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate that.
Yes, I just want to echo the comments of the council. Thank you for being proactive. Thank you for providing for the Kenner Police Department and to continue to make them a premier police department in the area. With that said, council members, please vote.
Can I make a comment, Madam President?
I apologize.
Richard Brown, District 4, also President of Citizens for Better Kenner. I just want to say that Citizens for Better Kenner wholeheartedly supports this proposal, and Chief, we appreciate you doing this. Thank you
for your support. Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Council members, please vote.
Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Dunn?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Lahat?
Yay.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you all so much.
Item 15J is summary ordinance number 13,040, an ordinance authorizing the purchase of a software as a service subscription bundle from Interview Now, a sole source provider, in the amount of $7,000 for the Kenner Police Department.
We have a motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Lahat. Any comments on this item? Councilmembers, please vote.
Councilman McKinney?
Yay?
Wilmot?
Yay.
Dunn?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Lahat?
Yes.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15K is summary ordinance number 13,041. An ordinance approving the use of state contract number 44000-22728 with Motorola Solutions Incorporated for the purchase of portable radios and accessories for a cost not to exceed $652,800.75 for the Kenner Police Department.
It's a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan.
The chief would like to speak.
Oh, yes, Chief
Yeah, this is,
Conley.
these radios have a shelf life. I think the current radios, we've gotten as much use as we can. They're probably 18 years old. The state is moving to a different platform for the statewide uniform talk channel, which is important for if you have a man-made or natural disaster, for all the emergency services to talk amongst each other and coordinate. This current system will not support what the state's updating to. They've given us notice. The radio the actual radios themselves are obsolete, so you have to piece and part them together from spare radios. This was actually funded, Chief Glazer, now Mayor Glazer, and myself worked with Representative Villio and State Senator Talbot. So I do want to thank them. They're providing the funding for this radio system for our citizens and for the city of Kenner. So this is not going to be a budget item for us to have to worry about. So I do want to thank Rep. Villio and Senator Talbot.
Thank you. Any other comments? Council members, please vote.
Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Dunn?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Lahat?
Yay.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15L is summary ordinance number 13,042. An ordinance approving the use of state contract number 44000-23312 with Precision Delta Corporation for the purchase of various types of ammunition on an as-needed basis at a cost not to exceed $35,000 annually for the Kenner Police Department.
We have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember Dunn. Any comments? Council members, please vote.
Councilman Dunn?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Lahat?
Yay.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15M is summary ordinance number 13,043. An ordinance approving the use of state contract number 44000-20593 with TCO Safety Incorporated for the purchase of 2 point-blank Level 3 ballistic shields at a cost not to exceed $17,803.80 for the Kenner Police Department.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot. I believe the police chief has comments.
Yeah, I just want to thank, this is one of the items when we were having the agenda meetings with the members of the council. The council full-heartedly supported this, and they're going to help fund it as a whole. So I do want to thank every member of the council for your support. The members of the police department also thank you for their support. This is a life-saving tool. It's a ballistic shield that can handle not only pistol rounds but also rifle rounds. So, you know, in the world we live in today, you can't express, you know, how important that is to the men and women that protect us. So thank y'all for stepping up and helping the men and women of the Kenner Police Department.
Thank you, Chief. Any comments? Council members, please vote.
Councilman Schwartz?
Yes.
Lahat?
Yay.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Dunn?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15N is summary ordinance number 13,044, an ordinance amending ordinance 11,988 adopted April 22nd, 2022, which authorized the utilization of Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office contract 21-DEC-1501 with Lamarck Ford Incorporated and Courtesy Ford to purchase vehicles on an as-needed basis for the Kenner Police Department to change the not-to-exceed amount from $500,000 to $1 million for the life of the agreement.
We have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Lahat. Do you have any comments? Yes, Mr. Morella?
Al Morella, 4260 East Oil Drive, 5th District, 50 years. I want to direct this to Chief Conley. We all know that this is a piggyback off the Jefferson Parish contract. We also know that this is an increase, a doubling of the cap, which we may never get to. Right. And we also understand that this 9% inflation is impacting the cost of everything. So my question to you is, adjust this cap downward, back downward again?
Well, so when we go out to look for a capital expense like this, we look at the existing state contracts. We can ask to piggyback any state contract, so we look for the most attractive one for us. We picked this one because it is the sheriff's office. They have such purchasing power because they buy so many vehicles. Our concern is right now there's a 40-week back order on vehicles. It is an aging fleet. We still have some old vehicles out there. So we just wanted to increase the cap in case we were able to get some other vehicles. Sometimes dealerships will order vehicles that are not picked up or not taken, and we want our name on the list for those. So right now, we have ordered 8 cars that are 40 weeks out. There's a chance we can get, 8 more that have been ordered that are in this area. So we just did that as a precaution. But everything you said is right. It's just a cap. It's not to exceed. And certainly, we're going to be transparent and let the council and as well as the public know when we do pull the trigger on it. But so right now, we're hoping to get 8 cars in the next couple of weeks to add to our fleet or to take out some of the older vehicles. Once they get older, the costs are unbelievable on old vehicles. These vehicles are used, they're driven hard because of the nature of the business. But yeah, we do shop around for whatever is available on state contract that's more attractive than what we might have.
Thank you, Chief. One more question, Chief.
Yes, sir.
How many total vehicles do we have in the KPD? What's the total fleet?
We have 130 sworn officers. We have a support staff, so we're probably right under 160, 170 vehicles.
Okay.
I'll get an exact number for you because I hate shooting from the hip, which is probably not a good thing for a chief of police to say, but.
Okay. All right, thank you, Chief. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morella. Any other additional
No,
comments?
just thank you for your support.
Great, thank you. Council members, please vote.
Councilman Lahad?
Yay.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Dunn?
Yes.
Schwartz?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance repealing ordinance number 11,958, which amended Section 2-13 of the Kenner Code of Ordinances to mandate all public records requests and be copied to the City Council within 5 days of receipt, and to require that the City Council be notified upon satisfaction of all public record requests. Item 16B is an ordinance authorizing a public hearing and amendment number 3 to the fiscal year 2015 annual action plan of the Community Development Block Grant Program for the Community Development Department. Item 17 is reports from the council and special committees.
Councilmember Brannigan.
I just want to thank Mayor Glazer for signing some of my fund forms that have not been signed in the last 8 months. The curb project will be started that I've been talking about probably for the last year. I negotiated a $30 a foot price with the concrete vendor to replace every broken curb in District 4. We have 2,847 feet, according to these eyeballs, looking at the broken curbs. And basically, that project will be starting very soon. A lot of District 4 residents have been asking me about it because it's been on the table for the last 8 to 10 months. My assistant Jessica and I are the ones who came up with the 2847. We drove every street in District 4 to come up with how much we had. I didn't want to start a project and it cost $1 million. So it's a great deal at $30 a foot to get this thing done. So every curb in District 4 will be fixed. And what my plan is to send the contractor to a section. Like they'll go to Canesboro A subdivision. They'll go to Chateau Lakefront. The crew works in the sections, Chateau Northwest, Northeast, Southwest, Southeast, and the crews are working in that area so they're not running all over the city, which is, it's a better way to do it, and it costs less for the contractor to do it in that fashion. So you'll see stuff on the streets. Also, there were several street panels that were out there. And a couple other things, and I just want to thank Mayor Glazer for signing off and getting these things rolling for me. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Brannigan. Councilman Brennan.
Thank you, Council Chair. In addition to those kudos, yes, it's nice to see trees getting trimmed and concrete work being done in other things that are progressing well. Chief Conley, I failed to mention when we were talking about the shield, because I was taking copious notes as to every word you were talking, but I'm also would like to make you aware that the council as a whole has agreed we're going to put up money for 2 more shields, so you'll have 4. When we spoke with you, you had said your wish was to have 6 shields, and your council is supporting the police department. We're going to put up money, and this fund form will change to have 4 for you.
Well, that's a game changer, because just, yeah. Thank you. These shields actually are assigned to shifts, and the supervisors carry them, and when there's a hot call or something where they might be needed, the supervisor has to get there with the shield. So the more shields we have on the road, the more available they'll be to the officers that need them. So that means a lot. Thank you all so much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. It was all support, and we're happy to do it, keep our men and women safe.
I want to thank the entire council for that. Thank you all.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Councilman Brennan. Councilmember Lahat?
Yeah, District 3, happy to report that the first stages of the Treasure Chest Casino coming on land is actually starting. They're in the process of, they've cleared the new parking lot, which is south of the Pontchartrain Center. They're currently building that right now. That is the first actual step. So there's actually, stuff going on. It's moving. They should be breaking ground in the actual spot of the new treasure chest later this fall. So things are in motion. I'm very excited about that. I know a lot of people want Lake Town to look better, and believe me, I'm the top of that list. So just want to report that about District 3. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Lahat. Councilmember Dunn?
Yes, in District 1, we've had a lot of calls about high grass and things of that nature, so I just want the constituents to know that we're on top of it. We actually, my assistant and I, we actually go out, and not only that, we speak with the residents also that's calling about the issues that they're dealing with. So we thank you all for emailing us, letting us know what's going on, but we just want you to know that we're definitely on top of it. We answer our calls, and not only that, we do site visits, so we also go out and we are on top of what's going on in my district. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Item 18 is new business. We have none. Item 19 is unfinished business and no motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. We have none. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
Al Morella, 4260 East Oil Drive, 5th District, 50 years. I want to pay tribute to Corporal Lawrence Brown, Korean veteran. Took the Pentagon 71 years to account for his remains, which was finally brought home and laid to rest in Prairieville, Louisiana. Now, also, I want to say, in my absence from the last meeting, I'm flattered that Ms. Alessandro my presence would be felt in this chamber even though I wasn't here. So I want to let her know I'm flattered by her comment. Okay. No one more than myself would like to see this council and this administration succeed, but I have my doubts, and I'm going to tell y'all why. Because I believe that the political establishment, the same one, and the special interests are in control. Now, the mayor, the administration, has made some steps in the right direction concerning this building, concerning what it's costing us. And I myself, at the last meeting I attended, gave the update on the buildings at 1801 Williams Boulevard. So I agree with the mayor. Okay? Now, everybody talked the talk when y'all was inaugurated. So now we're going to see if you can walk the walk. And if you can, and if you can consistently move this city in the right direction, then you will prove me wrong and you will erase those doubts that I have. This is what's wrong with our city. And it's not just one administration. This goes way back. That previous administrations spent more time catering to the special interests in the political establishment instead of representing the best interests of the citizens of this city. So hopefully all that's come to an end now. We'll see in time. Anybody got any comments, any questions? I got any time left, Councilwoman McKinney?
Mr. Morella?
Yes, wait a minute. Hold on 1 second, man. I got any time left, Councilwoman McKinney?
You have 45 seconds.
Okay.
You will see a significant change. This administration, this council has been in for 15 working days, and all you have to do is drive around and look at the cities being cleaned, gardens are being weeded, things are starting to move in the right direction. But to fix the problems, it's going to take a hell of a lot more time than 15 days. You have the right council in place, and you have a great and the right administration in place. Mark my words.
Thank you, Councilman Brannigan. And in closing, I hope for the citizens of this city and the well-being of this city that you are correct. Nothing would please me more than that. Anybody else?
I want you to be able to say that I was right. Hopefully not in 4 years.
Well, you can count on one thing, Councilman. When you all are right, I will give you right. When you are wrong, I will hold you accountable. Like you said earlier, that's a two-sided street.
I appreciate that and love when you come up to the mic.
Thank you very much.
Whether we agree or disagree.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Thank you, Mr. Morello.
Thank you.
Mr. Teft, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address, or your district, whatever you prefer.
Greg Taft, 3720 West Loyola Drive in Kenner. First of all, I want to point out some things that I do feel that have been good. Chief Connolly, you have done a phenomenal job alerting and keeping citizens appraised of what our Kenner Police Department is doing and has done. For a long time, we never knew about all the crime going on in Kenner until you heard it on news media, etc. And for that, I really thank you. And because you're doing it, I've been trying to make sure that as many websites as I can send it to let them know just how much improvement that we are seeing, because we now know what our officers are doing out there. And we now know what's going on in the city. And we don't have to hear it from a third source. So that I appreciate. Mayor Glazer, I have this comment for you. I think it is commendable that you actually went in and found ways to bring back our gyms and move our people back into a system and a place where we have always been familiar with. It has to be a horrendous job for you to have to figure out all this. And I think the fact that you were able to get students from schools to help with the gyms, I think that is phenomenal, because that's what's going to bring our young people together. And that is what will deter crime, because they become a part of what's happening in Kenner and not left out to the side. And when they're involved, they see it for themselves and they render that teamwork. And for that, I think that is great. The other comment I want to make, for those council, I realize y'all think I'm picking on you, and you're probably right. But guess what? I have hit the then Mayor Zahn many times at council meeting, along with his city attorney, which I'm not going to name, but I have hit them just as hard, especially when they added some of these positions that at that time weren't even listed in the charter, and we added them. Even when we added people that didn't live in Kenner to be able to serve as a director. I fought those things tooth and nail as well. So you can sit there and say all you want, how I'm picking on y'all. That's all fine and dandy. What I've said here, I've also said other places, and you go back in history and you'll see where I complained about the same thing. In fact, I even said, this city seems to hire the best attorneys in the country because I've never seen attorneys that were so good at twisting. And I use that phrase a lot on social media because they were good. Twisting means you say one thing, but you can mean something else.
Mr.
That's what twisting means. And that's what makes an attorney probably as good as they are because they know how to work the system. They know how to work it. So
Thank you.
say,
Mr. Tuff,
can
your
say
3 minutes is
and
up.
feel anything you want,
Wrap
but
it up,
my,
please.
my stance is not going to change. My interest is only one. The city of Kent.
Mr. Tuff, your time is up.
Councilman Brannigan.
Mr. Teft, I have no problem with you coming up here. I'm not saying that you're attacking us because the 7 people up here and the 2 elected officials at that table have very hard shells, okay? The question that I had was when you have come up here in the last 2.5 years and you have said things like when you asked Councilmember McKinney several meetings ago, you want to know who's auditing the attorney fees for a council project. But yet, in 2021, there were $5.8 million of contracts given out, $1.6 million of contracts were attorney contracts, and you never questioned one of them. And there were a lot of other things that have happened where you have said things at that microphone, and I bit my tongue. But, you know, I feel that in the last 2.5 years, you have been the administration's guy. And I don't have a problem with that. But there's two sides of the street, and I would hope that in the future that you and Mr. Morello and Ms. Alessandro and Mr. Brown and everyone that comes up to that mic sees what we're trying to accomplish to make Kenner the best place for you to raise a family, open a business, and to live. And I know that this body and that body are going to get it done.
Thank you, Councilman Brannigan. Councilman Brennan.
Well said, Councilman Brannigan. Just one comment to Mr. Morello's point about walking the walk, talking the talk. I just have to say this, and I have to commend the administration and my colleagues, because since March, we started meeting on a regular basis. Mayor Glazer, or Mayor-elect Glazer at that time, was sending us information and meeting with us on a regular basis. At the last council meeting, we were voting on something, and it's irrelevant, but there was a schematic, it was an aerial view of something we were voting on, and Mayor Glazer walked over here and handed it to each of us and asked each of us if we had any questions or we had any comments and needed to know anything about it. Mayor Glazer did that. Chief Conley has met with us. As Councilman Brannigan said, we've been in for 3 weeks. We've met with Chief Conley. He met with each of the council members to go over things he needs for his department. The communication in 3 weeks has been, in my opinion, unbelievable and something that we haven't seen in the past, or in the past 4 years, and that's not a slam at anyone. So I think people are going to be very pleased with the city of Kenner. And again, if you ride around, you're seeing progress, you're seeing things done. Fund forms are getting signed. That may sound irrelevant, that may sound trivial, but when your driveway is messed up or the street panel by your house, whatever it is, if that work's not being done, just because someone is aggravated and mad and doesn't sign it, speaks volumes. The communication has been unbelievable. I have all the faith in the world in these people sitting here and at that desk. You will be proud of Kenner once again. You will be glad that you live here. You will feel safe here, and you will be very, very pleased. And when we look back in 4 years, I think you're going to see a world of difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Brennan. Any additional comments? Chief Conley.
Yeah, I just want to thank Mr. Tuff for his comments, but there's no real spike in crime. There's no crime issue in Kenner. This is something that these officers have done day in and day out for years. We're just highlighting some of the work they do, putting their efforts in the spotlight. If you notice, those posts are proactive stops. They've done that for years. They've been taking guns and drugs off the street and bad guys off the streets for a long time. But I do have somebody now that is going to be highlighting these efforts on social media, and just so people know what happens in the streets day and night. So thank you for your comments, though.
Thank you. Ms. Alessandro? You have 3 minutes. You can state your name, address, or district, whatever your preference.
Okay. Stacy Alessandro, District 4. I want to start off by saying to you guys and to Mr. Teft, lots of very smart people in this room were lied to and deceived by this previous administration. So it's going to take a lot to undo that and to restore some people's trust in our local government. So I can understand where Mr. Teft, may be coming from, but I really hope that he gives you guys a chance, because I believe that there is a change in the air in the last 3 weeks. It's only been 3 weeks, and the city already looks better. I know somebody else, a couple of people touched on it. It already looks better. It looks better. Recreation is being opened. It's just so much being done in 3 weeks. I'm amazed. So, touching on something from the last meeting, I had asked you guys to maybe put a discussion item on regarding the Alvendia contract with our Hurricane Ida insurance claim. And the reason I keep bringing this up is because I don't trust any of the Zahn contracts, none. The extent of the lies that you guys are uncovering and Mayor Glazer, it's staggering. This is not normal, what we're hearing, what the mayor was saying in his remarks, $70-something thousand for a porta potty a month? This should be like national news or something. This is staggering. But anyway, I just want to point out, because I know I have limited time, I did talk to Mr. Power. We've had exactly probably one conversation in the last 5 years, and it was a couple of days ago, and it only lasted like 20 seconds. But I did bring it up to him. That Alvendia contract, that attorney was only working for the city on our claim for 12 weeks. At that point, Ms. Herring, correct me if I'm wrong, please. I want to make sure. We have already paid him $1.2 million. That equates over 12 weeks to $20,000 a day, 5 days a week for 12 weeks. And that's the small check. He may be getting about 10 times that amount or 15 times that amount. This is not okay. I don't know why I didn't get any response. Last time I brought this up, I didn't get any response, and I don't have any response now. But I do have complete faith in this administration. If you guys see that there's any issue, I'm just bringing this to the light of the public. Please look at this contract. Please. It just doesn't seem okay to me. This is money we need. This is our hurricane money that we need to rebuild with. We need this money. And, if we wind up getting our policy limits, we're going to be giving away $20 million of our money. And this is just an example of how much we've given so far. This is just one check, and there's a lot more to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alessandro. I believe the attorney.
I have an answer for you. After you and I spoke, I did review the contract, and I spoke with the finance director. The contract with the Alvendia firm is a contingency fee contract. It's not hourly. They get a percentage, 25% of whatever they manage to collect for the city. And as a matter of fact, after that contract was signed, the city collected, she can give me the right number, but it's somewhere over $5 million as an advance payment on the insurance policy. 25% of that was actually 1.4 million, and that's what they were paid, in strict accordance with their contract. There's nothing nefarious or suspicious about it. It's the terms of the contract.
But it's a bad contract, and there's a clause in that contract.
That's a totally different area that I'm not prepared to address right now. I'm not a big fan of contingency fee contracts, but that's what it is, and it's a binding contract.
But isn't there a way to isn't there a clause in there that says we can terminate this contract? This is a Zahn contract. It's a bad contract. I don't even know. That man came before this council, one of those attorneys, and said that the Attorney General has reviewed this contract and he's fine with it. That turned out not to be true. This is a bad contract.
I don't know that the Attorney General's office has issued opinions on contingency fee contracts and simply state that the fee has to be reasonable.
Is this reasonable?
Apparently it is, according to the Attorney General. The state has had contingency fee contracts with the same amount, 25%. Actually, I had a claim on my home, and I paid 25% to an attorney to pursue that claim.
But we didn't even try to negotiate. They were saying that the insurance companies were basically negotiating in bad faith, and the city couldn't have gotten any of this money on our own. I mean, we didn't even hire an attorney until 12 weeks ago. I mean, this whole thing stinks. It may be okay, 25% may be okay under the law, which I also have some questions about, some points about that. And I understand what you're saying. It's a sound contract.
It's a binding
It's a binding contract, but I believe there's a clause for us to terminate with 30 days' notice. I think this is a very bad contract. I mean, I'm just giving an example, and there's more to come. There's more like this to come. There's millions of more dollars in the next few weeks that will most likely be paid out
We hope
of our
there
money.
will be many more millions from the insurers. That remains to be seen, but that's what they were hired to do. And whatever they collect on behalf of the city, they get 25% of. I did not negotiate the contract. I wasn't around when it was negotiated, or if it was negotiated, or when it was signed. I have no knowledge of the history of the contract. I only reviewed the contract.
And I understand that.
The payment that you mentioned, actually, it was a little more than, you said 1.2. It was actually 1.46, I believe. And it was in strict accordance with the terms of the contract.
I understand, but it's a bad contract.
Thank you, Mr. Power. Thank you, Ms. Alessandro. Mr. Brown, you have 3 minutes. Please state your address, your name and address.
Richard Brown, District 4. Is this microphone still working? I noticed when Greg Tuft was talking, it sounded like it went out suddenly in the middle of him.
That's because his time was out. This microphone is still working. That's because his time was out.
Okay. One first comment, Mr. Power is correct that attorney's fee contract is a contingency fee contract, and from what I know about it, I think the money that was paid to the attorneys was a percentage based on the contract, although some people have calculated what that comes out to on an hourly basis. But it is a contingency fee contract, and those have been approved by the Attorney General, and also 25% is what the Attorney General has approved. I think the problem here for a lot of us is that this law firm is going to get paid basically from the first dollar, because the city made no effort, as far as we can tell, or certainly no successful effort, to recover any money on their own before hiring this law firm. I hope now with the crack city attorney's office staff that I see coming in, and with Michelle DeFriend doing a lot of civil work, maybe that can change. But it bothers a lot of us that instead of paying 25% of a $250,000 recovery, we're going to be paying 25% of $750,000 recovery. because the city made no effort to recover on its own. I forget whether it said $1 million or $10 million is what the policy is for. That was actually not what I wanted to say, but I got distracted on that. I just want to say my question about the emergency purchases that were being ratified, that I did not and do not have a problem with that purchase. My concern is just with the emergency purchase procedure and whether those units constituted an emergency. And the main thing I wanted to say is to again welcome Mike Powers, interim city attorney, Michelle Dufresne as assistant city attorney, Eric Mund as deputy city attorney, and congratulate Chief Mayor Glazer for putting a good team in place and a team that I've got a lot of respect for. And Greg Tift was complaining about the council sometimes not following the advice of the attorneys. I've heard some advice just over the last few months that I think the attorney was wise to not follow. And one time was just recently when we actually had no city attorney and had an outside attorney here, basically told the city council that if you want to amend an ordinance, you've got to re-advertise it. And I think everybody on the council knew that was just bogus. So I welcome the new team. I'm excited about it. You all have your work cut out for you, but I've got faith in you. I want to pick up on something that
Mr. Brown, your time is up.
can I have 15 more seconds?
15 more seconds, yes.
Please, ma'am. Regarding comments that Councilman Brannigan made after Greg Teff spoke, and I frequently disagree with Mr. Teff's comments, and I myself have been attacked viciously by our former mayor, the ceremonial mayor. I think the real mayor was someone else. And I just want to point out Council Rule 42.2 for the benefit of the council and also for Mr. Teft. Every member, meaning council members, every member is also to refrain from personal attacks upon or impugning the motives or character of any citizen, employee, or vendor addressing the council. That was adopted in 2004. We have 3 new council members who may not be familiar with that rule. Some of the old ones may not. But we do have a council rule that prohibits attacking the motives of speakers. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Anyone would like to speak? Move to adjourn.